Peeps, welcome to another video. Today it is part 2 of the McCalls 7971 sew along, and today we will be making the bodice. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is stitch in our darts to our bodice front, and we're going to do this for the bodice front, outer and lining at the same time. The pattern does tell you to do it for the lining on step 3, but just get it all done in one go. So we're going to need to mark on our darts and also any other notches or registration points on our pattern before we take it off of the pattern, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So my print is actually directional, and because of the way I had folded the fabric, I needed to pin my pattern piece on the wrong way round. So I have basically, what I have done is I have snipped into the legs of my darts, and then I have put a pin through the point of the dart, and I'm going to peel back the layers of fabric and mark that point with my friction pen. I'm going to do the same for the bust dart and the waist dart. I've also snipped into the side notches and the underarm notch as well, and the shoulder notch. You can do that with the pattern the wrong side up. It's just a little bit more difficult, but as I say, because my print is directional, I did have to pin it on this way, or I had to change the way I'd folded the fabric, and I'd already got other things pinned to it. So this was just the easiest way. You want to snip into the legs of your darts, and then you want to put a pin through the point of it and mark that with your friction pen so that you can put in the legs of the darts with a ruler in a minute. So the waist darts on this bodice are actually slightly curved, so I like to use my French curve, and I put it up against the leg of the dart and try and find a place that it fits in best. And for me, I've got a centimetre, a metric French curve. It was the 26 centimetre point at the top that fit into the curve really well. Once I've worked that out, I can then use the 26 centimetre point at the points of the dart that I've marked in with my friction pen to match up with the legs of the dart that I've snipped notches into, and draw the line in. So once I've got that all done for the lining and for the bodice, the outer bodice, I'm going to pin the darts together and sew them into place. Okay, so I have sewn my darts in, and as you know, you don't want to backstitch at the point of your dart. You want to stitch off the end, and you want to tie your threads into a knot to secure the dart. This way you'd end up with a nice finish to your dart and it doesn't end up too pointy. So I'm going to do that for all 8 darts that I've sewn, and then I will trim off the excess thread, and we can press the bust darts down and the waist darts towards the centre. Okay, so we are going to stitch the bodice back sections to the front at the shoulders, and we're going to do that for the outer and for the lining. Okay, so our next step is with right sides together, pin lining to bodice, matching centres, stitch back opening, neck and armhole edges, trim seam allowance and understitch lining as far as possible. So I'm actually going to sew the back and neck opening all the way around first, trim it and then understitch it, then press it, and then I'm going to sew the armholes, because it's going to be much easier to get the understitching in if the armholes aren't actually sewn shut. I have pinned it together from the back bottom edge, and this is a large circle which was on our pattern piece, which I have transferred over here, and I'm going to start at the large circle, so leaving this little bit here, which is going to help us finish off the edge neatly later. And we're going to go up to the corner, pivot around here, pivot, and go around the neckline and do the same on the other side. If you find it helpful, you can draw in your seam allowance in these corners so that you know exactly where to pivot. I do find that helpful sometimes, but for this one I am just going to sew around all of this at 5/8 of an inch. I haven't pressed it yet, but I have understitched all of the seam allowance to the lining. I have clipped into the curves around the neck edge. I have clipped into the corners. You won't be able to understitch all the way to the corner, but you're going to come as close as you can and then stop and then start again. And it's the same with this kind of little pivot point down here. You won't be able to get all the way into that corner, but get as close as you can. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to put it right sides together again and sew the armholes into place. And then we can turn it through and press it. So I have sewn the underarms together at 5/8 of an inch, and then I have notched into that so it's all going to lie nice and flatly. So now we can reach in through the front bodice, through the shoulder, and you want to pull the back bodice through on itself, and it will come. Pull it all the way through. We're going to do the same for the other side, and then you're going to go and press all of those edges that we've just sewn, so the neckline, the back edge and the underarms, and we're going to go and press those all nice and flat. Now that everything is pressed, and the understitching will help you to press the neckline, and you want to make it so that you can see just a tiny little bit of the outer fabric. That will help everything stay nice and tight inside. So the next thing we want to do is we want to take the underarm seams. Got one underarm seam there, and from the same side we've got another one here. So what we want to do is we're going to bring the underarm seams together and nest them, and then we're going to pin the side seams together from waistband to waistband. I'm actually going to sew mine from 5/8 of an inch up from the raw edge, and that is so that I can finish the waistline seam on the inside of the dress by folding it under at the front and then at the back with the facing that's included in the pattern. So I'm going to pin this together, and as I say, you want to nest the underarm seams, so you want one seam going one way, one seam allowance going the other way, and that way you end up without too much bulk in this area and your seams joining nicely. So I'm going to pin this together and then sew at 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch up from the bottom on both sides. As ever, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to answer them for you. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!